Do you know who Dr. Lori is? I discovered her online. She is an appraiser of vintage and antique items. A lot of resellers follow her. I think she has a show on Discovery or the History Channel. I think she's might be been on Netflix. She did a segment at the Plymouth, Minnesota Goodwill. And I am going to take you along with me today to the Plymouth, Minnesota Goodwill. She is a hoot. I'm going to link her video below. She looks like someone you'd want to have a cup of coffee with. So come along with me today and let's go check out the Plymouth Goodwill and see if we can learn from what she told us and find some good treasures. So I'm going to start exactly at the spot where she started in this location. She began with the lamps and taught us some things to look for when we are searching out lamps. I don't know if you noticed that plug is just two-pronged plug. I feel like that's an indication, and I'd love to know if I'm wrong on this, that's an indication of a vintage lamp, just the two prongs like that. So she told us to begin looking in the lamps. In one of the videos of the two that I posted, she talked about Tiffany inspired lamps and how to know the difference between an actual Tiffany lamp and Tiffany like lamps, inspired lamps. And I actually have sold that. A friend of mine had a couple of lamps that looked just like this one. Now, this is not a Tiffany lamp, but both this and that little lamp next to it I sold for a friend who had those on like a sideboard in a hallway, and I was able to ship them. Now, those large ones, I would say that would be more of like a Facebook Marketplace pickup. I would not be probably in tune to ship those out. That would be a little bit challenging for me. Another YouTuber that I follow is called the Crazy Lamp Lady. Oh, here's a place where you could plug in lamps to try them out or plug in appliances to try them out. So maybe you want to bring along a little light bulb as well. The Crazy Lamp Lady, oh, she's so good. She'll teach you, just like Dr. Lori, if you want to learn about vintage, she is amazing and gives a lot of advice on what to look for. Made my way down the exact aisles where Dr. Lori was shopping. Right in this area, she found vintage Pyrex that she talked about not passing up. I had a little bit different open mind when I was here today. I really did look at things differently. She picked up this gorgeous blue roasting pan, which then, of course, this uh, tea kettle caught my eye in this blue color. It wasn't a little too much wear on that, but isn't that a beautiful color? So, like I said, I looked at things with just a little different eye. So, I would encourage you to find YouTubers that will inspire you to look at things a little differently when you are in the thrift stores. Cannot wait for church rummage sales. That's actually my very favorite place to thrift for resale. She talked about dishes and what to look for, and this entire stack was taped together, so I could not lift that to see what was on the bottom. My other favorite place to thrift is church rummage sales and Goodwill outlet, but that you really do have to be in the mood for. This is a much more pleasant experience. I do love hard goods. They're my favorite over clothing, but I had the pleasure of friends that just give me things. They're on their way to donate them. They know that I'm a reseller. This happened when I was working. I've got a few bags in my car. Would you like to take a peek at it? And of course, and then I volunteer to donate the rest for them. So that's another way to pick up merchandise if you're new to reselling. Let everyone know what you do. It's a great way to pick up inventory that people, they know that there's a value or there's a sentimental value. I am doing some consignment for a friend of mine who had some Alaskan artifacts, and we're doing quite well on those. They had some sentimental value to her, and she didn't know what to do with them. So we worked out a deal for consignment that I am taking some of that profit when those items sell. These were pretty, but you could see that the color was already wearing off of some of them. So Dr. Lori also went into the mug aisle and explained to us what the difference was between a cup and a mug, and the cup had the footed base to it, and a mug was just flat. So she was at that exact area looking at cups and mugs. And also, she talked about dinnerware, a lot of plates. I was amazed at some of the cost of these plates and things that I would never pick up. When you want to learn, this is an example of one. She talked about the scalloped edges and the rose pattern, and I don't know a lot about that, but if you want to get a great education, you want to follow someone like her because she's an amazing teacher. I find that so many of these stores that I go into, community thrifts, and I actually do like a community thrift store. I would say I would prefer that over a Goodwill. I did do a segment on a Savers. I liked Savers. This Goodwill, I think, is maybe you'd call it small but mighty. There's not a lot of items on the shelves, but it's clean. You can look through it. Sometimes you go into some of these stores and it's so much inventory that you can't even look through the items. And it was crowded in here today. There were a lot of shoppers. It is cold this weekend in Minnesota. Oh my goodness. So maybe people were looking for something to do on a cold day, but for the next couple days, it is going to be cold. I am not much into collecting figurines and porcelain items. I always wonder who the buyer is or who would purchase these items. So I don't know many people who pick up figurines. I have sold Capo di Monte, these little intricate floral porcelain figurines, for lack of a better word. I have done okay with Capo di Monte, but they can't be broken, and those you could see were so fragile. So, like I said, I just kept a different look. This must have been like a child doing this. You can see all five of those little um, figurines there, little animals. So I kept an open mind and I looked at things a little differently. And I would encourage you to do that. Of course, you see me tipping everything upside down to seeing if I can find a mark on anything. This doll back here was really interesting, but there was a little bit of damage to her. When I look at figurines like this or dolls or things that I think are a little more unique, $12.99 on that one. I always look at the faces. If they have a face that looks real or pretty, if the eyes look good, if it doesn't look sad, that always catches my eye. But I left that one behind. I took a little more time today and I did Google image searches, and these were beautiful. These were trivets. I wish they would have been as a set of four. I might have picked those up, but they were priced individually. I ran some Google image searches. I took my time today and did that. I did end up picking this up. I couldn't find anything on it, but it was beautiful. There is a mark on the back, a signature. I can't really read it, but it's a raised wall hanging. And I thought for the price, $4.99, I would pick that one up. So that one went in my cart and came home with me. Boy, it would have been nice to have Dr. Lori next to me and explaining some of these things, because you pick things up that you like, but then there's just this back and forth whether you think there's any resale value to it. So there's that plate again. I'm looking at plates differently. She talked about roses. She talked about painted. I'm looking at those a little differently. I'm going to learn a little bit more about plates because some of them have a lot of value and not hard to ship, not hard to store. That's the other thing. When you bring home all of these items, where do you store it? I put this in my cart. It was like a woven mat in a bottle. And I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. But I ran a Google image search. I couldn't find much on it. That might have been a mistake. I maybe should have taken that one home, but I couldn't find enough on that one to see if that was worth picking up. But that is the problem, is where do you store all of these items once you get them home? The shipping doesn't scare me. I've done videos on how I ship. The shipping doesn't make me nervous. I've shipped a lot of breakable items. That is something that you get better with over time. So it's where you store it all. And I always think if we ever downsized and moved, I don't want a huge amount of inventory in our home so that I would have to deal with it. I've thought about what I would do. I would just do a massive uh, sale and slash prices on everything and try and move as little as I can. But she also talked about fish and plates, and I put this in my cart and ran a little more, did a little more information, ran a Google search on that. But I have to say, I wouldn't have maybe picked up these items that I did today. So it was fun to have a little different inspiration on what to look for. And the prices today weren't out of touch. That $14.99, but I think that one had a the maker's mark on it. There's that plate again that I took a look at. I was debating on that because it met some of the criteria that she was talking about. But Norman Rockwell, that was the statue. This was pretty pink, but I didn't know if that painting on the outside was well done. It looked, I didn't understand. I think I need to learn more about when it's hand painted, what that actually means in terms of value. I'm going to start learning a little bit more about it. So went down the art aisle, the same one. She found some amazing art when she did her series. There was someone who had done a lot of painting, like watercolor painting. I'm looking for now more at artists' signatures and seeing if I can determine the value. There was one more of those paintings. It was pulled canvas. You can see one there. Someone must have donated all of their personal art, and so I'm going to try and learn another one that was pretty. I'm going to try and learn more and take more time to look at artwork. Again, it's a storage issue and a shipping issue, but I would be willing to pick up some of the smaller pieces and pay a little attention. That was a puzzle. Someone did a puzzle, put that all together and framed it. That was kind of cute. Look at all the books, rows and rows and rows of books. I did look for Martha Stewart again. Always looking for Martha Stewart. I've talked about her in a lot of my videos, the book that I'm specifically looking for. So this was up at the front. This is the vases. Colored glass. I'd like to get a handle on learning more about colored glass. The other thing that we do is, this was pretty. The other thing that we do is we display some of the things that are for sale. And when you sell on eBay, there's a little SKU in section in the listing where you can put in that SKU where the item is located. And so in some cases, I have purchased things and displayed them, and we have some shelving in the basement, and I've been able then to just go on the shelf and pull it off and list it and ship it that way. But for some of these items that I do like, I have displayed them, and sometimes, truth be told, I have taken them off for sale, and I've put some other things back on. That is something that I'm going to start doing in 2025. I'm purging what I own. Again, we're not planning to move. We don't have plans to move, but if we ended up needing to move, I don't want to be overwhelmed by our home and my inventory that I have purchased for sale. I found that vase, and this was the sold price on Etsy. And look at here, you can get snacks and ice cream when you shop at this Goodwill.